Loads of films come out every year, and there's a good chance you already know what you want to see, but can you list 40 upcoming films off the top of your head? Me neither, that's why we wrote it down. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and here are 40 movies that will kick ass in 2018. Number 40, Meg, 10th of August. There's loads of shark films out there, and now the oldest predator on the planet might well have met its most formidable match as Jason Statham gets to show off his swimming ability by fighting a 70-foot behemoth. Expect lots of people to die. Number 39, Holmes and Watson, 9th of November. Ignoring how well Benedict Cumberbatch, Robert Downey Jr. and Johnny Lee Miller have got the Holmes market cornered, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are teaming up for a more comedic slant on the character. You can expect buffoonery and terrible accents. Number 38, A Wrinkle in Time, the 9th of March. After making the explosive Selma and the Oscar-worthy documentary 13th, Ava DuVernay is going in a wholly different direction for an adaptation of classic 1962 sci-fi fantasy novel A Wrinkle in Time. The story follows a family of young children who travel through dimensions to find their father with the use of a tesseract, visit stunning, strange new worlds, and encounter creatures of unimaginable oddness as they battle a world-ending force of pure evil. Ooh. Number 37, Mulan, the 2nd of November. Continuing Disney's agenda to turn all of their best animations into live-action remakes, this is finally coming out. Inevitably, it's already been hit with one racial controversy, as it turned out that the first spec script featured Mulan forming a romantic relationship with a white merchant, because of course it did. Apparently that's now been taken out, and all characters are set to be Chinese, which is good. Number 36, The Girl in the Spider's Web, the 19th of October. Despite David Fincher initially saying he wants to make both The Girl Who Played with Fire and The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest back to back, progress on follow-ups to The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo have been sluggish, to say the least. Unfortunately, Fincher is now gone, but Sony has decided the best approach is to jump the series forward with an adaptation of the 4th Millennium title, The Girl in the Spider's Web. Rooney Mara is also gone, with a whole new cast coming in for Don't Breathe director Fede Alvarez. Number 35, The Nun, the 13th of July. The Nun sees Corin Hardy directing a prequel spin-off centered on that bloody terrifying nun Valak from The Conjuring 2. You know what you're getting into with these films, and with James Wan directing and producing, it's likely we'll see more of the same creepiness and delightful jump scares. Number 34, White Boy Rick, 26th of January. The film, which has an impressive cast including Matthew McConaughey, will chart the rise of criminal legend Richard Wersher Jr., who defied the traditionally African-American ruled gangland culture of his community to achieve unprecedented power and notoriety. Intriguingly, he claims the reason for his eventual arrest was down to the help he gave feds to uncover police corruption in the Detroit PD, the real crime he's locked up for. Number 33, Robin Hood, the 21st of September. The new adaptation sees Peaky Blinders director Otto Bathurst collaborating with Kingsman's Taron Egerton as Hood and Jamie Foxx as his Little John, which is interesting. Jamie Dornan will play Will Scarlet, Eve Hewson his wife Marion, no maid here, Ben Mendelsohn as the villain, and comedian Tim Minchin as Friar Tuck. Number 32, Horse Soldiers, the 19th of January. This follows the deployment of CIA agents and US Special Forces into Afghanistan in the immediate wake of the September 11th attacks as they seek to bring down the Taliban, and it promises to be explosive. Alongside the excellent story, there's also a great cast led by Chris Hemsworth, Michael Shannon, Michael Pena, and Moonlight's Trevante Rhodes. Number 31, The Commuter, the 12th of January. The next stop on the action train sees Liam Neeson playing an insurance salesman caught in a tale of violence and intrigue. He receives a phone call, obviously on his commute, from a stranger telling him he has to find a specific fellow passenger before the last stop or everyone will be killed. Removed of his certain set of skills, Neeson is just a normal guy here who finds himself in a criminal conspiracy, and it'll be interesting to see him unraveling a little more than his usual ice-cool demeanor in such films. Number 30, LAIKA'S next film, the 18th of May. Moving forward, Laika CEO Travis Knight said the studio is now moving away from child protagonists and going more adult, which is about all we know of their next animated film, which supposedly will still be for families and is a blend of things we haven't really tackled before. Even without any specifics, knowing Laika's track record, see Coraline and Paranorman, they could make anything and it would still be extremely exciting. Number 29, Slenderman, the 18th of May. Bit late this. A popular game in 2013, Slender has already made the jump to an HBO documentary. It shouldn't be a difficult film to get right though. All they need to do is have kids get lost in a forest and pursued by the Slenderman with lots of jump scares. Adding too much explanatory mythology to that would be a mistake, so hopefully it'll stay tight and simple. Number 28, First Man, the 12th of October. The film is based on the blistering book of the same name by James Hansen, telling the story of NASA's mission to get man to the moon. It's a first-person account of Armstrong's life from 1961 to 69, and naturally, Ryan Gosling will play Armstrong. Excitingly, it's being scripted by Spotlight's Oscar-winning writer Josh Singer and directed by fellow Oscar winner Damien Chazelle. Number 27. Rampage, the 20th of April. After working together on Journey to the Mysterious Island and San Andreas, Brad Payton and The Rock are re-teaming for an adaptation of iconic monster video game Rampage, with Johnson playing the hero. That's a zoologist and not a monster. Watching The Rock fight huge monsters and then no doubt unite them to protect them from the government is just an excellent idea all around, and why wouldn't you want that? Let me have it. Number 26. Tomb Raider, the 16th of March. Based on the 2013 rebooted game, Tomb Raider will focus on Croft's origin and the distinct possibility of some actual tomb raiding, hopefully. What we know of the plot suggests Lara will embark on an adventure to find her father, who is assumed dead, and face off against Walton Goggins' villain. Hopefully, it's not crap. Number 25. A Star is Born, the 28th of September. Usually you'd think that pop stars should be forced to stay away from trying to make it as film stars, Rihanna, but Lady Gaga has all the right theatricality experience to suggest she just might have something. Her debut comes as the lead in Bradley Cooper's A Star is Born, the third remake of the 1937 original, which coincidentally has 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Good luck. It's an interesting film for a number of reasons, including being Cooper's directorial debut, and it's going to make money no matter what, thanks to Gaga's army of little monsters. Apparently that's what her fans are called. Number 24. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the 9th of November. When you look at Benedict Cumberbatch's face, it's a wonder he hasn't been cast as a Dr. Seuss character before now, because he looks weird. After lending his voice to Smaug and Dormammu in Doctor Strange, he's going to be the voice of the new Grinch for Illumination's animated adaptation. At least he won't be directly competing with Jim Carrey's excellent live-action performance. Number 23. Scarface, the 10th of August. Yep, they're remaking Scarface, but it's being written by the Coen brothers and it stars Rogue One's Diego Luna, so it's already got lots of pedigree. Luna will have an almighty battle on his hands to even try and compete with Al Pacino's definitive performance, but the possibly good news is that the Coens are changing the story to follow an entirely different character and a different nationality, so it technically sort of won't ruin the first one. Maybe. Number 22. Bumblebee, the 21st of December. Fart noise! After The Last Night landed this year, Paramount are launching their turbocharged expansion plan properly, with the first Transformers spin-off focused on charismatic Autobot Bumblebee, and I'm sure it'll be just fine. Number 21. Mortal Engines, the 14th of December. If there's one director working today who can do justice to Philip Reeve's beloved Mortal Engines, it's Peter Jackson, which is handy since it's him that's doing it. The film's premise takes a lot of accepting on paper. It's set in a dystopian steampunk post-war future in which all nations have been wiped out and cities exist as massive mobile entities mounted on caterpillar tracks. They fight, they eat each other, and they seek 21st century tech as the most valuable commodity. Fingers crossed, it's good. Number 20. Animated Spider-Man, the 14th of December. It might not have the MCU behind it or Peter Parker as the lead, but Sony's standalone animated Spider-Man movie is still one of the most hotly anticipated comic book films on the horizon. A lot of that comes down to its focus on Miles Morales, a character which should have been explored on the big screens by now already, and some to Lego Movie and Jump Street's Phil Lord and Chris Miller being the scriptwriters. Number 19. Mary Poppins Returns, the 25th of December. In this time of Disney live-action remakes, it's quietly lovely that we're getting a Mary Poppins sequel rather than a redo. Expect it to start sadly as a family tragedy draws the now-grown Banks children and Poppins back to their family home. Death, in other words, but it'll no doubt brighten up after that, don't worry. One thing is for sure, Emily Blunt will have her work cut out for her. Number 18. Halloween, the 19th of October. For the occasion of the franchise's 10th release, John Carpenter is back on board as an executive producer and he's vowed to make it the scariest one yet, which is good news for the genre's fans. Directing duties will go to David Gordon Green, who's fallen off the radar a little bit since he made Pineapple Express, Your Highness and The Sitter, and he's also co-writing with Danny McBride, which is interesting. Number 17. Ocean's 8, the 8th of June. Let's make it again with women in it, is a sentence that scares the pants off internet commenters. Yeah, Ghostbusters was absolutely dreadful, but that wasn't because of the women. That was because it was an unnecessary remake and Paul Feig didn't do a good job of directing. So here's hoping the ensemble cast of Ocean's 8 can pull it off. Number 16. Venom, the 5th of October. No, No, I'm not going to talk about this. Sony studio head Amy Pascal doesn't even know what this is. It's in the MCU, it's not in the MCU, there might be a different Spider-Man, it's ridiculous. It's also got Tom Hardy in it. Number 15, Pacific Rim Uprising, the 23rd of March. The first film may have underperformed horribly in the US, but global markets ensured it was a success, and there's certainly enough excitement in its kaijus versus Jaegers premise to warrant a second look. Let's just hope it's marketed slightly better than the first movie. Number 14, The Predator, the 3rd of August. Luckily, Predators didn't kill the franchise, and we're now getting an entry set before it and after Predator 2. The Predator will focus on a team of Predator hunters led by Boyd Holbrook and featuring Olivia Munn. All dead meat, probably, but you can definitely count on Shane Black to write them out brilliantly. Number 13, Mission Impossible 6, the 27th of July. This next film, which follows the lucrative but slightly disappointing Rogue Nation, sees the cast reunited and joined by Henry Cavill, Vanessa Kirby, and Sean Brooke, with director Christopher McQuarrie promising more focus on Ethan Hunter's personal life. That should help it feel deeper after the lack of characterization in the last couple of films, but if it comes at the expense of Cruise showing off how glorious his hair is during ridiculous stunts, it will be a major shame. Number 12, Wreck-It Ralph 2, the 21st of November. It's now been 5 years since Disney made the delightfully meta Wreck-It Ralph, and it was beginning to look like we'd never get the promised sequel. Set 6 years after the original, Ralph breaks the internet, sees the former bad guy exploring the internet after a Wi-Fi router is plugged into the arcade. Can't wait to see all the porn they have to ignore because it's a kid's film. Number 11, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 2, the 16th of November. We already know Johnny Depp is in as the magical Hitler, Grindelwald, of this world, and intriguingly, Jude Law has now been added as a young Dumbledore, who will presumably still be in his morally ambiguous stage, flirting with not only Gellert, but also wizarding superiority. On top of that, we'll get more Newt, more beasts, and more of his personal relationships, which is all good. Number 10, Gigantic, the 21st of November. After they developed the classic Jack and the Beanstalk story in fun and fancy-free, Disney are returning to the same well for a new take on the legend set in Spain during the Age of Exploration. You know what to expect from this story, though there will no doubt be some twists, including the presence of storm giants, but the real selling point is that it's a modern Disney release under the leadership of John Lasseter, which almost guarantees that it's going to be brilliant. Number 9, Ant-Man and the Wasp, the 6th of July. Yeah, Doctor Strange is flashier, but Ant-Man can travel to the quantum realm and return, and his shrink powers means we finally get to see a grown-up Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And then there's Giant Man, who will hopefully reappear in the sequel as Rudd Scott Lang teams up with a suited-up Wasp. This should investigate the backstory of Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, as well as giving the modern iteration someone to fight too. Also, all of the Paul Rudd, please. Number 8, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the 22nd of June. Following on from Dr. Henry Wu's escape with the dino embryos, Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard will return as the plot looks more at the idea of weaponized dinosaurs. Producer Colin Trevorrow says it won't be limited to a theme park either, so maybe we're going to see a full-blown dino monster movie in an urban environment. Number 7, Ready Player One, the 30th of March. Sci-Fi Ready Player One sees Steven Spielberg once more embracing his genre roots to take Ty Sheridan into the alt-reality world of Oasis, a sort of opt-in matrix designed to allow them to escape from the grim dystopian reality of their own world. Quite how many of the cultural reference points it relies on will make it in remains to be seen, but it looks like one of the most imaginative films currently in production. Number 6, The Incredibles 2, the 15th of June. A massive 14 years after The Incredibles ended with a setup to an immediate sequel with the appearance of the Underminer, we're finally getting to see one of Pixar's most wanted follow-ups. Specific details on the plot are hard to come by, but returning director Brad Bird always said that what appealed to him most about the first story was not the superhero element, but the family dynamic, so we can probably expect more of the same. Number 5, Black Panther, the 16th of February. The character's explosive first appearance in Civil War offered fans a glimpse of how great the cat foo expert could be, and we're finally going to get a fully fleshed out story for T'Challa, taking in political insurrection, familial friction, and the added issue of Bucky's presence in Wakanda. Ryan Coogler is an exceptionally gifted director, so we know it's in good hands, and it's part of the MCU, so you can all but guarantee that it's gonna be very well made. Number 4, Han Solo, the 25th of May. If anything, Rogue One has provided a model for prequels exploring well-known historical Star Wars events to be really good and completely spellbinding and cool. And Han Solo is a far more charismatic character than any of the squadron, so this should be a treat, hopefully. It helps that the cast is excellent and that there's loads of places the story could go, so expect another billion-dollar haul from Lucasfilm. Number 3, Aquaman, the 21st of December. Having made an immediate impact in the teaser footage of the Justice League, Jason Momoa's badass, big, drinking water god looks to be a standout. His standalone, which will push the limits of new underwater effects technology, sees him facing two foes in the Ocean Master and Black Manta, while embarking on what director James Wan calls a swashbuckling action-adventure in the spirits of Raiders of the Lost Ark and Romancing the Stone. And if you can't get excited over that, you don't feel anything. Number 2. Deadpool 2, the 1st of June. Anyone who saw X-Men Origins Wolverine's mauling of Deadpool could never have hoped that we'd get to see one great Deadpool movie, let alone an entire franchise. And yet, thanks in part to the perseverance of Ryan Reynolds and the strength of the character's premise, that's exactly what we're looking at in 2018. The sequel will see Paul joined by fellow mercenary Domino and time-traveling fan favourite Cable, played by Josh Brolin. A cheeky Wolverine cameo wouldn't go amiss now, would it? Number 1. Avengers Infinity War, the 4th of May. Infinity War is the culmination of everything we've seen in the MCU so far, as Thanos flexes his big purple muscles and tries to unite the Infinity Stones for a terrifying assault on the Marvel Universe. The film, which is being helmed once more by MCU MVPs the Russos, will be unprecedented in scale and scope, uniting every heroic character in the franchise and smashing the Avengers together with the Guardians of the Galaxy for the first time. There's the potential for it to be overlong, overstuffed, and unbalanced, but if it works out, we could be looking at a film finally good enough to dethrone Guardians Volume 1 as the best in the entire series. And that's our list. Make sure you subscribe to the Whatculture YouTube channel for more lists like this, and don't forget to visit whatculture.com for daily news and articles. I'm Ben from Whatculture, and thanks for watching.